You know, it's incredible how generationally cursing and blessing impacts people, how things pass down from one generation to the next. I want to just read you a true story about two families right here from United States of America. And this is two families that lived 200 years ago. Listen to this true story of two American families. It says, Max Jukes was an atheist who married a godless woman. Some 560 descendants were traced. Remember that number, 560. Okay, so here's a man, Max Jukes, 560 descendants over 200 years. Out of these descendants, 310 died as paupers or in poverty. 150 became criminals, 7 of them murderers. 100 were known to be drunkards, and more than half the women were prostitutes. The descendants of Max Jukes cost the United States government more than $1.25 million in 19th century dollars. That's probably more than $250 million today in current prices. Jonathan Edwards, on the other hand, was a contemporary of Max Jukes. He was a committed Christian who gave God first place in his life. He married a godly young lady, and some 1,394 descendants were traced. Now, out of these 1,394 descendants, we're going to hear what happened to them. But remember how many Max had? 560. Jonathan, 1,394. 2.5 times numerical increase in Jonathan's life over Max's life. Now, out of Jonathan's descendants, 295 graduated from college, of whom 13 became college presidents, 65 became professors, 3 were elected as United States senators, 3 as state governors, others were sent as ministers to foreign countries, 30 were judges, 100 were lawyers, 1 the dean of an outstanding law school, 56 practiced as physicians, 1 was the dean of a medical school, 75 became officers in the military, 100 were well-known missionaries, preachers, and prominent authors. Another 80 held some form of public office, of whom 3 were mayors of large cities, 1 was the controller of the U.S. Treasury, and another was vice president of the United States. Not one of the descendants of the Edwards family was ever a liability to the government. Now, isn't that a contrast in blessing and cursing over 200 years of time? And what you see when you hear something like that is you realize that there was seed on the inside of this man, Max Jukes, that was so potent that it apparently carried down generation after generation after generation and devastated generations of people. On the other hand, there was seed on the inside of this man, Jonathan Edwards, that was so powerful that it also passed down from generation to generation to generation and made it almost impossible for his descendants not to fulfill a powerful destiny for which each one of them was placed on planet Earth. Now, when we hear a story like that, some of us think, in our own history, we look back and say, oh my goodness, it's Max Jukes all the way. He was probably my great-great-grandfather himself. And we think, what chance do I have? Well, the good news is the very fact that you're sitting here at this seminar today is probably indicative of the fact that God picked you out in this generation to change this. That you'll see something change from your generation forward. You get to be the first Jonathan Edwards, perhaps, in a long lineage of people that have been in a Max Jukes type of lineage. And for others of us, we look back and we see Jonathan Edwards types of people in our background. And we realize we're riding on a wave of blessing that we didn't work for. That somebody else has sown seed that's made life very, very simple and easy for us in certain areas of life, where we aren't going to have to fight battles that perhaps other people need to fight that have had different seed that's come down from past generations.